I'm going to show you exactly how to make Facebook ads for your clothing brands look like this, step by step. There are essentially two main components to running ads successfully on Facebook. This is broad or open targeting to reach as many people as possible, and then your creative strategy and setup like this. All right, so I'm going to be giving you 3 steps to a successful clothing brand ad strategy, so make sure you grab something to take notes with. I haven't said this for a while, but if you are new here, it's very, very important. And for those who do not know, howdy, I'm Aaron Pearson, and alongside my business partner, Christian, we have helped clothing brands grow and scale profitably online since 2015. We've helped our customers generate almost $100 million through that period. And at this time of the recording, I am only a few days away from the anniversary of quitting my job and taking this business full time. Most people do not know this, and I don't even know if our employees know this, but we had $2,000 in our bank account, our business bank account, and took a leap of faith, and it actually worked out. I'm excited to share with you about Facebook ads because for many of you, it will add the stability back in your business or life that you need to make bigger decisions with how to grow your clothing brand. So let's get into this. Number 3, going broad with targeting. Let me explain why. Broad is exactly how it sounds. We're going after everyone. Well, not really. Broad targeting is very specific and general at the same time. So broad or open targeting is interesting because it assumes that you're going after a very large audience, but what it just means is that it gives more data to Facebook to go after the right audience. Turns out that machines or AI or whatever, however you want to look at it, that machine learning platform is actually smarter than us. I know it's very hard to get over that fact, but it is. So the broad targeting, it does need data, but it's not going to go after everyone, and it needs to have some open parameters to do so. When you go after broad, it's cheaper and it's more effective, and you're wondering,
how the heck is that possible?
So going broad, the way that targeting works is through your creative, your headlines, your preview lines, and it's also done through your website. Everything that Facebook or Meta has access to, it will crawl those places in that space, and it will find all the details to kind of match it up. It's happening in real time, thousands upon thousands of data points happening to find these people. What you do when you go with interest targeting, so let's go backwards and say interest targeting, a lookalike audience. This is assuming your costs will not go up, or that other people aren't going or bidding on an auction level with the same audiences that you're going after. Well, we're going after Tim McGraw, or we're going after Jinko, or we're going after Levi's, or whomever it is, Supreme, or Damon John, whatever. You're assuming that all of those other interests nobody else is betting on. And as we get into more expensive times of the year, you start to pay an even higher premium. Going broad gives Facebook basically free range to go after and find as many people as it thinks possible based off of your creative. Now, if you do a bad job with your creative, broad won't work. I mean, if you do a bad job with your creative, your interest in lookalikes will not work either, okay? And then don't even get me started on lookalikes, because lookalike assume that you have enough data that you can get enough people to take action. Well, if you have 1,000 people in your audience, and we know that most people have opted out through iOS 14, and then we're about to hit iOS 17, and you only have access to, I don't know, 300 of those people, that's a very small data set for Facebook to say, yeah, let me create a lookalike of those people. Let me go find 2 million people like your 300. Highly unlikely. So you're gonna pay more if you do an interest. It's unlikely unless you have a ton of data for lookalikes to work. And then at that point, the costs just continue to rise. If you never plan to take your business past 10, 20, 30, 50, $100,000 a month, if you never plan to go past that, then I think interest may be okay. I think lookalikes are a possibility potentially. But if you're trying to grow a 6, 7, 8-figure clothing brand, then broad is a much better alternative. I know it sounds counterintuitive and completely crazy, but it works, and eventually it will be used by everyone. So take advantage of this now before it becomes even more competitive. It's crazy to me that Facebook literally suggests for you to go broad with the targeting and give it more control to find the right people for you, and people will try to resist that. Eventually, I hope not. I like for people to have options, and honestly, it keeps the cost low for all of those who are smart and go broad. But eventually, I'm sure that it's gonna force almost everybody to just give up control of who they are targeting. So that is why you should go broad. That is why it is very important. And if you've taken any notes from this piece, I promise you, it will all start to make sense throughout this video, but it is the key component to making this successful. All right, so number 2 is dynamic creative testing. Dynamic creative testing, basically there are 2 phases to dynamic creative testing that needs to be completed. The easiest way to test your creative is through organic posting, and there is a way that you can do it through advertising. We do this like awareness campaigns, but I wanna make it as easy as possible for you. So if you are going to test your creative creative, I would do it organically first. Short form content is the best way to do this because you actually have a little bit more of an advantage, even if you're a new brand. You can test this on Instagram, you can test this on TikTok, you can test this on YouTube Shorts. Now, as a caveat here, if it works on TikTok, it could work on Instagram. If it works on Instagram, it could potentially work on TikTok. It doesn't really go back and forth as much that way, but short form content on TikTok does do really well on Instagram and Facebook. If they do well, let's say you posted 10 pieces of content organically, you did it over 3 days, and then you found the winning piece of content because let's just say on average, all of your views got 500. Well, anything above that average is now a piece of content that's winning. So all the rest of those 3 to 5 pieces of content that got 600 to 1,000 to 5,000 views, guess what? Those are what we're gonna be using in our dynamic creative test. Those are the winners. We don't need to prove it anymore. We can just put them into our campaign. And now what I wanna do is I'll show you, or I guess I'll show you here in a second, how to set up those campaigns. But that is the average that we're going after. If they're all at 500 views, anything above that is above average for you. And then the only thing I also would suggest is that you make sure that you're testing the same type of creative. We used to do a ton of different types of creative, and I think that you can. But for example, if you're gonna post 10 pieces of content, make sure that they're all one category, right? So if they're all collections type video, or they're all tutorial style video, or they're all UGC, test that against itself as the concept, and then we can take the best pieces of those creative and then run the ad. The posts that do better than your average are the ones that you can bring into that campaign that I was just talking about. All right, so this is how dynamic creative testing works. We have dynamic creative switched on at the ad set level. Make sure that's turned on, and we'll build out the campaign here in a second, but that's turned on. And then on the ad level, we are using images or videos. It doesn't matter which one. We have a 4 set up here. You can do a 3 as far as the total amount of pieces creative, but they're all graphic. They're all similar type pieces of creative. And then we have 2 headlines and 2 primary text. The way dynamic creative works is it will take the best of those images, the best of those headlines, the best of the primary text, and then it will give you the best ad. Then it is your job to take that best ad and move it along because now you've already proven what will work. I know this sounds like a heck of a lot of testing. This is what will constantly allow you to continue to grow. If you're in the boutique world, I understand that you're not gonna be able to run an ad for 9 months, but you may be able to run an ad for 3 months. You got those leggings or those jeans or those graphic tees or those hats, you may be able to find a winning ad that you can run for months. If you're a streetwear brand or something that, or a brand that you have like an athleisure or a Christian clothing brand or something like that where you have a shirt like this in stock and you can get more of it, we've ran ads for literally 9, 12 months at a time. And guess what? We just continue to spend money on those ads as they continue to perform. There is no decay, there is no shelf life for it. As long as it is valuable and is reaching new people, then it will continue to make you money. A lot of people have questions about this, and is why I want to mention this now, which is if y'all want a personalized strategy session to talk through how to grow your clothing brand online, you can click the link in the description down below. There are limited spots. This is not fake at this point. You will see when you look at the calendar. So there are limited spots. Make sure you go act quickly, and you can schedule a strategy call. We can dive through with your brand and talk through specific of how to get this set up or what you need to do to take your brand to that next level. Okay, so number 1 is building a successful campaign. We're gonna go through and I'm gonna show you exactly how to do that. So we're gonna go ahead and click create. Honestly, I'm gonna do it a little bit backwards in the sense that we already have a successful campaign. I have this one right here that has 1,100 purchases. It's one campaign that's been running for a long period of time. It spent $31,000, so great. It's also listed as Facebook as high performing. What can we break down about this? Well, we would go ahead and click create. We would go ahead and hit sales. We would go ahead and hit manual sales campaign. Now the rest of it I'm gonna walk you through based off of this individual campaign because I think it's important to break down the winning campaign versus starting a new one. What do we have in here? A lot of different ad sets. And let's go ahead and search here through results. So we got, most of them are gonna get about 100 to 120 purchases. Our average purchase is $27. But then some of them have been about 13. We had 107 for $13. Our patriotic collection, just so you know, this is a little strategy you guys could steal. From Memorial Day to Labor Day, if you can run a campaign and let it go for as long as you possibly can, that's a great place to grab as many new customers as possible. But what did we do here? We created one campaign, as you just saw me do. Create the green button, create campaign, sales campaign, and then we created ad sets. And those ad sets are basically our individual testing campaigns. For this, most of them, if you see them, are literally, most of them, we got volume 13 in here of new arrivals. And we just keep continuing to add new ad sets to this winning campaign because it's working. And if you have a campaign that has continuous ad sets that are doing well, just keep building it inside of there. Eventually, it will kind of like top out and you won't be able to do as many ad sets in one campaign anymore, but we haven't ran into that. I think you got to do like 50 or something. I don't know exactly the number, but my point is keep building into the same one. So we got this one right right here, broad new arrivals 5. So how did we set this one up? We did it as a website. We did it as dynamic creative, make sure that's turned on. We did 21 to 64-year-old women. We did all placements. And then the ad level, go ahead and see this pieces of creative we had here. We had 10 pieces of creative that we started with and then narrowed it down to 3. We had one video, one graphic, and another graphic. Again, not necessarily our quote unquote best practices at this time, or at this time it probably was best practices. This is more up to date. We had a longer primary text, but we actually told them like specifically who we were going after, new arrivals, shop the latest style, so they knew it was new arrivals and they knew the audience. Okay, so this was our winning ad, 48 engagements. There's a lot of these comments here like, hey, I really want this, but it's sold out. Again, boutique life. A video, 57, and then this one, 11. So Facebook, in Facebook size, this was the one that worked. The yellows popped. These types of graphics worked really well. And then this video did well too. How we would figure out the winner, I'll show you here in a second. But what we did, we set up, and what I would suggest for you now is to grab 3 or 4 pieces of creative that look very similar, different style of graphics or different styles of videos. Then I would get 2 primary text, 2 headlines. One thing that we've been testing really in depth right now that I think you should do is 1 really long primary text and then 1 super short primary text. Crazy to me that our long primary text for the brand made a lot of sense and it got 90% of the purchases. Test that out. Something that we're running with, and you'll probably see a video about that here in the future. That campaign and that collaboration did really well, and it had a lot of text, which seems counterintuitive, especially in the e-commerce space. As you will see, we are constantly testing, and I like to zig when people zag. So if they say do short form text, I'm like, well, let's see if we can make it work with long form. How do we stand out? Something for you to test for yourself. Make sure the website URL is in there. It's always a shop now. Again, you're trying to get people to have a strong call to action to go buy something. These website events and tracking will likely change. We're moving everything to CAPI or Conversions API, but make sure that if there is an option for tracking, that there are green check marks here, and then you can move on. If you are somebody who uses TripleWell, which we do, TripleWell is an attribution software. It's server-side tracking, so it gives you the real numbers across every platform, whether it's Facebook or Instagram, TikTok, whatever it is, and it gives you the real numbers that are happening through there, the real sales, so that it doesn't look like you made 1 million sales on Facebook and then 1 million sales on TikTok, and then turns out you didn't make 1 million sales. So it gives you the real-time data. They also have updated pricing, and I believe in the link in the description, we have 15% off for life, so you can check that out if you'd like. We do get a small like kickback or something like that whenever you use the link. So if you do, awesome, thank you. If not, just go check them out. It really is super beneficial to grow your brand. I would highly suggest it for you, especially if you're spending more than, I would say, $75 a day on advertising. Once you get up there, you really need to be able to track your numbers. So that's the setup there. You would go ahead and click publish, and then you're ready to roll. One thing people have a question about all the time is, how do I find the winners, or I know what to create in the future? So you're gonna go to this breakdown tool here, breakdown by image, dynamic creative image, and then we can see very quickly that this one, the best performing one that most purchases, 1581, 70 purchases, it was actually this video right here. So something to do with this leaf. It's just very simple, as you can tell. There's not anything like crazy creative about it. It's just got some good music. It's showing off the outfits. People can understand it. And 70 purchases for 15 bucks. I think a lot of people would be happy to get those types of results. So that is what you should be doing right now if you are a clothing brand owner. And honestly, it is not super hard as far as the advertising side of things. What is hard is the content creation, making sure that you are continuously testing the right things, but then stay out of Ads Manager. Please stay out of Ads Manager, because so many people push too many buttons and turn things off, and they just needed to leave it in there a little bit longer. So that is my one tip for you to make this successful, is once you start to see a little bit of success, let it continue to get smarter. That machine is very, very smart. All right, y'all, if you like this video, then you need to check out our latest video on Instagram ads right here. This is very, very important for you to go check out, especially if you're advertising on Instagram, posting on Instagram. Have a great rest of your day. We will see you next time. And P.S., make sure you hit that subscribe button.